And we are live. What's up, everybody? So, as those of you who were on with me about an hour ago, know I'm launching myself into hosting instead of, as well as guesting on other podcasts and web shows. And um, we had Rude Life NASA on earlier. Props to him. Thanks to him for coming on from Handicap and Chill podcast. My guest this time around is one of the first three dudes I ever did. A lo- he was a part of my first ever visual appearance on a podcast when we did Brian B's Live on the Line together, coming up on 2 years ago, which blows my mind. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, Jay? What's going on?
What's going on, dude? Hey, I'm gonna show the crew. For those of you who don't know, um, we got some really cool. Oops,
Hmm?
Agile. I am not one-handed. Unfortunately, I've done some kind of internal damage on my shoulder, so I'm doing everything one-handed
Oh,
for the next week or so.
hmm.
Well, I got full mobility, but if I put it in certain places for too long, then the minute I move it, it spasms.
Understandable.
Drives me crazy.
Hmm.
Check this out, y'all.
Nice.
This is live on the line, coming up 2 years ago, the end of August. That's for those who don't know, that's Brian B, the host up there. Below him is our boy Eric G, who is going to do one not this week, but possibly next week. This week is slam for him. And then, of course, the right side is me and my boy Kyle. You believe that was 2 years ago almost? Okay,
No, I can't. Time flew.
no lie.
Time just
That
flew.
was a that was a fun episode, though.
Hmm.
I said this on Rude's show. It was supposed to be. I never thought I'd say this, but be quiet, Brian. I took my smart TV off of gallery and it started playing the episode we did. Um, but yeah, check this out, y'all. It's
Wow.
coming up on 2 years ago, the end of next month.
My lighting
Brian
was
B,
rough.
there's Todd.
Hmm.
Your lighting. You've had a struggle with that off and on, Bubba.
I had a little bit of a struggle with it because I think that was when because I didn't have a ring light or anything, right? So I was doing like a makeshift thing with a
Yeah,
lamp.
I think you're using uh, what do you call them? Tiffany lamp or the
I was using
uh
a combination. I have a lamp. I have a light above me, and then a lamp next to me, and then on some occasions I had my just a regular desk lamp, and then
yeah.
eventually the light bulb on that went out. So, but
Well, I know
I
when we started because kind of bring everybody into the picture. I've been doing and I've talked about this infinitum, so Kyle's heard it about 40, 50 times already.
mhm.
But I've been part of the chat with Dave Navarro and Jeremy Miller on their show, which they are apparently no longer doing, or at least they've taken a break for Jeremy's sake, so he can. I guess he's making a movie based on his book When I Wished Upon a Star, which by the way I highly recommend uh, getting in any format you can. The audio
Mhm.
is available on Audible, done and it's read by one of the stars of Glee in a really powerful performance.
Hi.
Um,
Excuse
but
me.
I was part of their show for about a year, a little over a year and a half before they decided to take hiatus.
Hmm.
And one of the last shows, or well, one of the I think about the 19th or 20th in, the guest was Brian B. with Brian B. Blind
Mhm.
from Beeline Entertainment, our boy. Uh, Met him through that. Contacted him after the show because he did a phenomenal job. His episode is really worth seeing. His,
Mhm.
his shows are really worth seeing. let's see, Beeline Entertainment. You guys do that show together, I think.
I do the entertainment show with him. Yeah, usually on
Yeah.
Thursday nights.
Yep. And then he has the Beeline Web Show, which is most of the time is mainly him. He's had his lovely wife IT Tiff, who I guess is with child now, which is pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Um, and then he does Straight Through the Ropes with some of our buddies. I've been on there a couple of times with our boy Slim.
I've seen some clips of that. They're funny. Hmm.
Oh, that show is so much fun to do with. I was kind of the one episode that I did of that. Uh, Slim had this oversized championship from I think NWA or TNA, and I still have it. It's over there. I had a WWE championship belt uh, Christmas ornament. I was wearing like a double finger ring. So that's all I
Hmm.
could do with it. I didn't have a damn tree. Still don't, and I'm not gonna. I probably won't go with a tree this year either. I'll probably just put some lights up in this new apartment of mine.
Mm.
But yeah, you talk about lighting. Um, hold on, it did it again. Modern technology, I swear.
You okay?
Yeah, no. I went to get up. I'm still learning how to use this godforsaken smart TV I got here.
Ah,
I've been here almost 5 months, and I'm still getting used to it.
gotcha.
But kind of talk about check out Homeboy. You had to move just to get the lighting to improve.
Yeah, you gotta do sometimes.
I got a kick out of it, but I know I used to bust your butt about it too from time to time,
Yeah,
just joking
it's okay.
around.
Now it wasn't just you. My brother would buzz me on it about it too. So
Yeah,
don't
Brian B,
yeah.
man, that is got to be one of the wildest, most random cats I know. Let's be honest with ourselves here. He's a great guy. He's got a he's going in a million different directions. God love him.
Yeah.
Uh, I've invited him to come do one of these. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but
Mm.
Eric, Eric and I were supposed to do one last week, and then uh, I ended up having problems with my arm, and then I had some, I get migraines too, which is a royal pain in the.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I had to cancel a couple times, and he's busy all this week. So uh, hopefully next week or the following, we'll be doing our first kind of flip the script show, so to speak.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, man. But I can't believe that was 2 years ago, Kyle. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah. Time flew, bro.
That was just because we went into that because y'all talked. Uh, give a little backstory here. The week before, 2 weeks before this episode of Live on the Line, it was you, Brian, and Eric, and I had tried commenting in the chat from Facebook, but it just kept showing a Facebook user. It
Mm.
didn't show my name. So I don't use my full name on social media for security, for personal security reasons, obviously.
Yeah.
But my full part of my full first name, what the J stands for, is on my YouTube account.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to shout Brian out uh, in the chat, and he's like, I said, this is JC from NMR, and it took him like 5 minutes to realize who the hell I was.
Hmm.
But he was like, I want to have this dude on, and he contacted me after you guys wrapped,
Yeah.
and he goes, um, I'm doing it. We're gonna. You guys had talked about doing a nostalgia night, I think it was,
Yep.
and he's like, you want to be part of that? I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Just my schedule's wide open because I don't work. I'm on disability and
Mm-hmm.
income from a source I won't go into details with on here because it's just that's kind of like poking the bear,
I got you.
basically. But The very next week, yeah, that was the week that we did was supposed to do a nostalgia night, and the rumors started coming out about Steve and Marjorie Harvey, that she cheated or he cheated or something.
Mm.
And we talked about that in relationships, and then towards the end of the show, uh, Eric had to leave early because he works swing shift. God love him.
Yeah.
He works swing shift. He had to get to work. As soon as he left, as soon as he left, Brian turned it into a combo of live on the line and straight to the ropes
Yeah.
about uh, Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt from WWE, who had died the a day or two before out of thin
Mm.
air. So we finished the show about that,
Mm.
the three of us, and then you took off, and him and I finished it up. But I can't believe that was 2 years ago. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've done a bunch of other episodes of this, that, and the other together. And I was saying then that I was working on launching my own show,
Yep.
and now this is the preview episode of that series, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm.
Um, at first, I wasn't going to do the preliminaries, but then I was like, you know what, screw it. Do the prelim, do some one-on-ones, introduce people to some of the people that you're going to be
Yep.
doing panels and shit with. And
Yep.
one of the first people, I think the first two people I reached out to when I decided to do these was you and Eric.
Ah.
Even though the most recent show that I did as a guest was Handicap and Chill with Rude Life and Mike Cal 57,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was a roller coaster in and of itself, as I said on that live with
Mm-hmm.
with uh, with Rude earlier today. I didn't even he even goes into the backstory of his stage name, and that really surprised me. That's a really interesting. I think that's in part two
Mm.
of our interview. Um, Now I won't be doing all the shows. I'll probably be doing all the one-on-ones from here in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But the place I live now does have a podcast studio in the main building. So once I can start working with my behind the scenes partner again, he's out of town for Independence
Mm-hmm.
coming up this week. So I'm doing these basically solos, and so he knows more about how to work with behind the scenes shit than I do. So I says, you know what? I'll do these one-on-ones from in here, and then when you get back, we'll go to the studio. We'll do some unaired dry runs with some of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some people he's gonna have come on. Um, but yeah, no, it's been a wild ride for you and me just on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one of the things I love, Eric or Kyle, about working with you. Well, working with all of y'all, it ain't even like work, just doing these shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a solid crew. We really do. Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to
Rude,
everybody. Yeah.
yeah. Alora, special. Man, I almost said special toy podcast. It's successful toy podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Blackman. I'm going to have her on probably next week with the holiday and all. Eric's probably next week. Brian, I hope gets back to me because I'd love to
Mm-hmm.
have him on. Casey Lee Parker, who I've done successful toy with a few times, he's shooting a movie in Atlanta right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be on, I think, if not Friday, if not Thursday, probably Sunday.
Mm.
Allura, I've invited on. Toy's going to do one when she can get a break. She's getting ready to shoot her autobiographical film in Florida in August.
Mm.
Um, shout out to her. DC Boom. Um, Warren Marlowe. I'd love to get him on. That is probably one of the most random dudes I know. Oh, he is a kick in the pants. My Cal 57. Gonna have him on. That's gonna be a fun one. The only people that turned me down flat, um, one was Tara, and she no longer speaks to me. But that's a subject for another time.
Okay.
And I forget who the other one was, but she said that she wasn't. She was just backing away from podcasting for a while. But she said once she decides to come back, then she'll come on and and do stuff.
Hmm.
But like I said, I've got Alora's thinking about it. Eric's on. Boom's pretty solid. DC is thinking about it. Darius DC Chambers. Gonna have him on hopefully. Uh, because we got a solid bunch. And
I say so.
I'm gonna I know one thing. When Brian comes on, I'm gonna bust his butt about something that happened on one of the shows I did with him.
Hmm.
And I'll share it share it here just for just for yucks basically. One of the things, and no, it wasn't. I don't know if it was because Brian and Eric were co-hosting a
Hmm.
tipsy karaoke show one night, and Laura and I were doing a Disney duet. In the middle of the duet, I forget if it was Eric or Brian, but one of them hit the kill switch on the live stream,
Oh. Hmm.
and nobody knew it. None of us.
Wait,
None of
you guys
there's like
didn't know that the stream wasn't?
we kept singing. We finished the song, and that's when we realized something was up.
Ah, so you were
So
just in it.
eh,
Mm.
yeah, we her and I were in the moment, and everybody else was just doing what they do. Um, waiting their turn, picking their songs, teaming up and whatnot. Um, 'Cause, I mean, that's not all. Tipsy karaoke is not all duets, but we do kind of spur of the moment duets too, which is always a blast.
Mm.
Um, that's a for lack of a term creature of our boy Eric G. Gonna have
Yep.
him on, like I said, probably next week. Um, he's got random thoughts with Eric G. Word to the wise. He's got that going on.
Mm.
Um, I mean, the dude's got so much going on. I don't know how he keeps it straight. Honestly, I give him all the respect in the world.
True. Yeah.
But but tonight this one is about you and I, Kyle. 'Cause like I said, we've been friends for coming on 2 years, and you know that live on the line that was a blast. Getting you know hearing your perspective on all that and just relationships in general. But let's
Mm.
let's back up a little bit.
Yep.
Uh, where are you where do you live now and where are you originally from, Kyle? Let's start there.
Born and raised in Connecticut.
Very cool. And what got you into podcasting?
Um, what got me into podcasting really was I was always into like broadcasting and things like that. I've always been
Mhm.
into technology. I've always been into I've always been into production. Audio and video production has always been a hobby of mine. It's always been a passion of mine. And then I kind of discovered podcasting um through YouTube and through like places like Spotify and and iTunes and SoundCloud. So it was, to me it was like it just became more and more of an interest of mine, and then after I went to broadcasting school, and shout out to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. They were preparing us for either a career in like production for TV or for radio, right? So we
Mhm.
had news classes, we had radio classes, we had We had classes where they would, have us do commercials. We had to put a news package together for our first, for our final. There was a lot. There was a lot going on. We got to learn the bells and the bells and whistles and the behind the scenes of what it takes to produce a show like that, right? But
Right.
and they had a and they had professionals come in and teach us. Like, professionals would come in and they would volunteer their time to come and teach us how to edit, come and teach us how to do like certain things on the mic, you know
Mhm.
and um what had happened was I would get compliments on my voice, and this isn't a flexer or anything like that, but
You do
at the
have a
same
cool voice. I will say that for you, bro.
thank you, bro. Thank you. So yeah, I would get compliments on my voice because at my job I was working at the time, I was a receptionist at a hair salon, right?
Hmm.
And people
Respect.
would people would ask my mother, who was my boss, uh, who is that guy you have working for you,
Okay,
right?
that's one thing we have in common. We both started out working for our folks.
Yeah, yeah. I had jobs prior to working for my mom, but the person I've worked for the longest was my mother. My longest
Yeah.
job was with my mom. So yeah, I would get compliments on my voice from longtime customers who would just who I would have to do the reminder calls for, right? And a couple times my voice almost got me in trouble because some of the clients' fathers thought I was trying to holler at their daughter. I'm like, no, 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 no. Hold on. I'm just reminding them that they have an appointment coming up this week. That's it. Right. So then that's how I learned about through talking through some
Oh, they thought
friends.
they thought you were trying to arrange a date, not a hair appointment.
Yeah, they thought I was trying to holler at their daughter or something. I'm like,
I
no,
love it.
no,
I
no.
love it.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this until my
No.
mom mentioned it because they would, because people would call back to confirm, and they would be like, "Who's calling my house?" And I'm like, no, 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 sir. It's not what you think. It's not at all what you think. It's just that they weren't
Right.
expecting a guy. That's it. They just weren't expecting
Well,
a guy.
see, yeah,
So
because by and large, and not to interrupt you, brother, but let's just put it for what it is. Traditionally, that genre of uh, working life,
yeah,
business life, has been a female dominated society, especially when it comes to reception, booking, um, PR. You
yeah,
know,
public
so
relations stuff, which I would later find out was actually not. It wasn't like it wasn't always right,
right,
but
but
anyway,
it's but it's what people expected, though,
but it's
like
what
you
people
say.
expected. So I digress.
Right.
So through talking through some clients and to my mother, I discovered and plus one of my relatives used to go to the school and he worked for one of the radio stations for a while. That's how I learned about broadcasting school. And then it just became more clear that this is something I wanted to pursue. Then podcasting came after that because I was trying to do stuff on YouTube, but I wasn't as consistent. And then I learned that you could just do audio files and other stuff. And then, I already had a show. It was called On the Brain, right? And I had a show I would do with my friends, called On the Brain. It was just us talking and just
I was gonna say,
nerding out.
what was the basis of that one?
It was just us talking. We're nerds. We're animation nerds and music nerds, cartoon, like stuff like that. So we would just talk about whatever was on our mind. Like, like I originally thought of it as more of like a public access show until I realized that even though you're on public access, there's some things you can't do and
Hog
some
version
things
of
you
Wayne's
can't do.
World, basically.
So yeah, so I wanted to do something like that. I had a buddy who had a public access show, and I'm like, hey, we should have our own show. And next thing you know, I started doing something on YouTube, and this was old YouTube. You know what I'm saying? This is when YouTube was still young, like
Right.
Google hadn't gotten to it yet. So really that's where I started. I started with On the Brain, then later on got into broadcasting school and so on and so on. So here I am today.
Now, you said your first show was on the brain. You now have one called the A for Able podcast. Tell folks
Yep.
about that.
Ava Abel started a few years ago um, at the suggestion of my aunt. One day we're talking, and so my aunt,
You told me the story, but I was
yeah,
so fascinated by it. I wanted to have you share it with the people.
yeah. So my aunt, we were talking one day, and she was like, because she knew I was doing the on the brain stuff. I had turned it into an audio podcast, and she's like, "Why don't you do a podcast for people with cerebral palsy?" Which is what I have, right? I have cerebral palsy. Specifically, I have the spastic dysplasia. That's what my that's exactly what I have, right? Um,
Now,
so
what can you go into detail on that? What is that for those of us who don't know?
okay, so here's the thing. I'm still learning about it till this day. I'm 30 something years old. I've had it since I was born. But basically my muscles tighten and contract um, more than like any average person. My legs are always stiff, right? And now I don't know
Like
if
the whole leg, or just from like the knee down? What?
my hips and my in both legs, they stiffen up regularly. So from what I understand, I don't know the whole story, but from what I understand, there was some complications from when I was born. Like from when I was about to be born, there was some complications involving the
In the
doctors at the
delivery,
hospital. Yeah, during the
right?
delivery, there was some complications, and I have to believe that that is might have been what caused it. That might have been what caused it because there is a bump on my head that I've had since I was a kid, right? And according to my mother, that's where they put like the electrodes and stuff to see if I was breathing and functioning before I came out. And at one point, an intern or something pulled it out, and my mom jumped right before I was born. So that's our theory as to how I ended up with CP. But it's okay though, because in my case, um, it could have been a lot worse, you know? So
Right.
so my aunt at this point had been helping me since I moved out of my parents' place, and we're talking,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Why don't you think about doing a show for people with CP?" And at the time, there wasn't that many shows talking about disabilities, so I started thinking to myself,
It was for a long time. It was kind of a taboo subject matter.
and it's still, and to the point, it still kind of is, even though I feel like we have progressed a bit, but
Hmm.
it's still sort of a taboo subject, you know. Um, so I so now I was nervous about it because up until then, I mostly liked talking about the stuff I was into. I never really got into serious discussions about my life, let alone what it's like living with a disability or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I never got that personal with it. I only wanted to nerd out with my friends about music and anime and stuff, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And then one day I started thinking, okay, so instead of just having it be about CP, why don't I talk to people about what it's like living with a disability, period, regardless of what the disability is, even if it's not
Right.
physical, right? Because that's one thing that's one thing that still irks me. When somebody thinks disability, they automatically think physical disability, right? When there's a
Hmm.
lot of, we're talking about invisible disabilities now more than ever,
Right.
so I wanted to put the spotlight on people from all walks of life telling their stories. I don't care what your difference is, what your challenge is. I don't care if it's physical, mental, anything.
Right.
I don't care. The point is, you want to tell your story to get the message out there from your point of view, not a particularly medical point of view or anything like that. No bias up in here. You just tell your story, you know?
Right. And
So that
I'll give you a perfect example of what you're talking about, Kyle. Because it
yep.
happened to me. What, Saturday? I
Mm-hmm.
went to Walmart. I had to go to Walmart to pick up some scripts and some other shit. And I mean, I'm a big dude. I'm 5'10", over 300 pounds. So I'm a big son of a bitch. I'll just
Mm-hmm.
call it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, I got lumbar sciatica. I got overcalcified kneecaps. So mobility is not what it used to be.
Mm.
So I use those wheelchair carts. Now, the Walmart here in Albany, one of them, there's like three or four. But the main one, which is right down the street from where I live, that way, it's about 2 miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only one in the country that's two floors.
It's the only one in the country that's 2 floors.
Two floors.
Wow.
Grocery, uh, grocery, health and beauty, and pharmacy on the lower. Everything else upstairs. So
Mm.
walking that for me would be next to impossible. So I get there. There's a one of those uh, motor carts, whatever you want to call them,
Mm.
mobility carts, I guess you call them.
Yeah.
Sitting in the middle of the parking lot. And it's one of their older models, which I don't really trust all that much
Mm.
because they don't hold a charge with the shit.
Yeah.
But just call a spade, basically. But
Yep.
I get it in the door, and this thing is grinding for God knows what reason. I thought I was dragging the cord. Nope, cord's hooked to the back of the chair.
Mm.
There's none upstairs that I can switch to. So I go to the downstairs to the back entrance. There's three new ones waiting there. As I'm pulling up, this woman looks at me. She goes, "What'd you do to my chair?" And I'm like, "Excuse me? I just rescued her from the parking lot where it was probably less than yesterday. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it." She goes, "These are for people with disabilities. Yeah, you're fat. You should be walking." This is an employee, mind you,
This is an employee.
an employee.
Oh
I
my
wish I'd gotten
god.
her. I wish I'd gotten her name, honestly, but even if I did, I wouldn't put her on blast on here.
Was she
And
older?
no, well, she was
No.
my age. She was my age, and I'm older than you, but not by much.
Yeah. Mm.
We've talked about that.
Right.
Um, so lucky for me, there was a checker that I've known for about 9 months who is on the spectrum.
Yeah.
He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. He
Mm-hmm.
happened to overhear this. He happened to be a customer service, and he happened to overhear this. He comes running over. He comes storming over. He goes, "What the heck did you just say?" She goes, "He ain't got no disability other than the fact he can't stop eating. He don't need these. These are for people with physical challenges, not mental ones."
Oh god.
I'm like, "You dumb." I didn't say about it. Thinking, "You dumb. You know what? B word." I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
curse on Facebook. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've cursed a ton on Brian's shows. I've cursed a ton on Eric's shows. God knows, and I make a habit of cursing on toys, unfortunately. But
Mm-hmm.
I just switched carts, and I pulled up to this other lady. I said, "That one." I looked up that thing that says this unit needs charging, or this unit is charging. I pulled up to this other checker. I said, "There's no the batteries at 98%. I don't know what the hell's causing the grinding. You might have them take it into the Sally Port and have it looked at or something."
Mm.
She goes, "Oh, okay." She didn't hear none of what had gone on. She watches it. We both turn around. This woman is watching me as I ride down to the bathroom. I'm like, "Okay, girl, get a life," you know.
Wow.
But because people, like you said, they hear the terms, disabled, handicapped, choose your vernacular. They
Yep.
automatically assume it's got to be visible.
It's gotta be. It's gotta
Not
be
always.
visible.
Not
It,
always.
no. I'll
You
give you a
know.
kind of I'll give you a kind of funny story.
Try me.
I'll give you a kind of funny story. Okay, so I'm 15, right?
Hmm.
And at the time I was living with my grandmother. Me and my and me and my best friend. We come off the bus. We go to the corner store, right?
Right.
We get the stuff we want. We get out the corner store, and we didn't know at the time we were being followed, right? a woman was about to come and cuss me out, right? She
Oh,
was
you guys
trying to
are killing me.
apologize. She was trying to apologize for something, right? But she originally was gonna cuss me out because she thought she saw me walking and she thought I was making fun of people with disabilities until she realized, oh my God, he actually walks that way.
Oh man.
Right? So she comes up, you
So she
know,
sees a hitch in your gait, and she thinks you're just mimicking people.
she thought I was mimicking people. So she comes up from behind me and just and says, "Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, young man. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "What? Like, what's up?" She's like, "Well, see, I thought you were faking." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Well, because I have, friends and family that walk the same way you do, and I just thought you were, I just thought that you were, that you were trying to imitate people until I realized that this is how you walk. I'm like, yeah, that's a first. That's a first. I've never been
Man.
apologized to for someone else getting it
Without
wrong.
having some kind of clue that
Yeah,
let you notice that they fucked up.
I've never. That's never happened. That's never happened to me. I've gotten the "Where are you going?" I've gotten questioned like, "Okay, where do you going? Where do you do? What do you do?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm going to work." Like I would walk back and forth to work, or I would take the bus, and
Hmm.
people would be shocked to see me walking around. And one day my best friend looks at me, he's like, "You do know that if you didn't have that limp, no one would care, right?" I'm like, "Dude, this is my life. I know." One day I went. One day we went to the 7-Eleven. We were at the 7-Eleven, right? And a woman comes up to us, right?
Right.
And she said, "God told me to tell you that He'd fix your leg."
Oh, for the
And
love of Jesus.
while I do find that sweet in a way, I
Right.
said, "Thank you, but there's nothing to fix."
Respect.
Now, I am not a religious person. I got out of religion at 19, right? This
Hmm.
person clearly was, so I'm not going to downplay or disregard the fact that she was trying to come from a helpful and spiritual place. But she
Hmm.
was assuming, right?
Right.
She was assuming. So what do they say about assuming, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, to be as respectful as I could, because she was a little older than me, but not by much. I could tell she was only,
Right.
she was only in like her, like at the time that this happened. I don't even think I was 30 yet. I was in my 20s, but um,
Oh yeah.
but
Hang on one second, Kyle.
yep.
I'm going to make a quick announcement. Something just broke with one of our crew,
Go ahead.
folks. I was not prepared to I wasn't prepared to do another one of these until after the holiday. Eric G has just reached out and says he wants to do his on Wednesday. So Wednesday, I'm going to do one of these again through StreamYard or through Facebook Live with our boy, one of the most uniquely gifted men I've ever met. For those of you who've seen this on my Facebook, this was a product of Eric G. This was one
Nice.
of his. This was one of two caricatures that he made of me last year. So
Hmm.
yeah, we're going to be doing one of these on Wednesday. Because he just hit me up. He's like, hey, my part of my Wednesday just cleared up. If you want to do you want to do our interview on Wednesday? So
Nice.
Wednesday, I
Nice.
don't know. We're going to set the time. I'll post that on Facebook. So we're going to do a one-on-one with Eric G on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. But go ahead, Tom.
Very nice. Yeah. No. So, like I said, not trying to disrespect anybody, but that moment was just like, really, you know. Um,
Yeah,
but hey, stuff happens, I guess. Hmm.
yeah.
That's the point.
I got one. I got one for you, brother.
Yep.
About 10 years ago, and this is a part of my life I don't generally talk about, but it kind of fits where we are conversationally.
Hmm.
I was homeless for about a year,
Hmm.
and I was bouncing between two shelters back in my hometown, um,
Oh.
and I had to move from one to another that was basically a halfway house. Well, all the beds
Mm.
were those log style bunk beds. You know what I'm talking about? Ladder
Yeah.
on one end. Well, of course, all the bottom bunks are taken, so I had to climb the ladder up and get on the top bunk, and wasn't as heavy as I am now, but I was still, pretty big fella.
Mm.
So I go to get up the next morning. Somebody had taken the ladder off the bed for whatever reason, whether they were just being funny or just being, assholes, who knows.
Mm.
But so I had to use what I had to do. I had to hang my legs off the side of the bed, put one foot on the mattress below mine, and put the other one on the bed across from me to try to get down. I barely get my one leg on that bed behind me.
Yeah.
Somebody moves it. Somebody jostles it. I go down on full weight on one ankle. Wound
Oh
up in a
no.
medical booth.
Oh
Wound up
no.
in a medical booth for like a month and a half, right?
Oh my God.
Well,
Uh-huh.
the other shelter I was living in was a mission, right?
Yeah.
You were required to go job hunting 5 days a week. Didn't matter if you were challenged or not. You had to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around. I'm walking around the 15 square mile area of my old hometown in a medical boot. No crutches, just the boot.
Mm.
And I had a woman walk up to me. I was sitting outside of our chamber of commerce, having my lunch break. Lady come up to me. She goes, "Oh, you finally got too fat for your legs, huh?" I'm like, "Woman,
You finally got too fat for your legs?
yeah." She thought because I was a bit I was a big fella.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, she said that, and then she said, what happened? Did you break it getting off your bed? I'm like, I didn't even bother answering her. I just got up and left.
I bet that
But
she, yeah, I bet she thought that was so funny.
I wanted to bitch slap her if you want to know the
I
truth.
bet she thought that
But
was so funny.
she thought it was hysterical as hell.
Man, no, that's
Got up, gave her the people's eyebrow, and got the hell out of there. You
that was,
know?
yeah. No, that was just
But
wrong.
people just love jumping to conclusions.
Oh yeah.
But
No, absolutely.
yeah, but A for Abel, man. That's props for that. I mean, how long's that been going now? I know you took a break from it when you were
I
on a
took
break
a
from it
3 year break
when we did
from it.
live.
I
Yeah,
started it in 2019. I started in
yeah.
October of 2019, and I took a 3 year break. Part of it, part of it happened after COVID. Like I was still like during COVID, I was still recording. I did a
Hmm.
series of episodes. I did a series of episodes talking about how people feel about the virus and what and like they were all essential workers. I talked to teachers. I talked to
Oh, COVID.
yeah, I talked to teachers.
Yeah.
I talked to one of my best friends who's a truck driver. I and I asked them what do I asked them what do they how are things going with the way people are moving because of the virus, and they told me this was a full on health crisis. You know,
It really
so
was.
I
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted to give people's perspective on it. You know,
Respect for that because there weren't that many, and unfortunately, it's I'd say yo-yo would be the best word for it because it seems like every time we think we got rid of every strain, another one pops up within a few months.
yeah, I was very at the time my like we barely knew anything. I still think we barely know anything, to be honest. I think that there are some
I would agree.
things that we're still going to discover. It ain't going anywhere. It's just now we're just living with it, you know? But
Hmm.
but at the time I was a little freaked out because my dad had got it early on,
Oh,
right? So my dad had got it
yeah.
early on. My dad had got it early on. My sister was living with him at the time, and she calls me and she's like, "Don't freak out." I remember because it was like 8 in the morning, right? 8:30 in the morning, and she's like, "Don't freak out, but Dad's got COVID." I'm like, "What do you mean, Dad's got COVID?" Right? She's like,
Better
"Dad's got
question. What do you
COVID."
mean? Don't freak out.
Like, what do you mean, Dad's got COVID? Right? And then she tells me he had just had they had just sent him to the hospital. Right now,
Oh, for the love of Mike.
she would later on get it too because they were, they were living in the same
Cohabitating,
community,
right?
But
Yeah.
for him, my dad had pre-existing conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
My sister, they said, stay where you are and keep doing what you're doing because you're young, right? They were, how they were trying. Now my dad's not that old. My dad's only in his 50s, right?
Yeah.
But he's got pre-existing conditions, so that's what they were worried about, and this was
The combination
early.
of it all. Yeah. That was a lot of people's worries. Was those
Yeah.
of us with PECs is how if we got it or if we even if we just got exposed to it, how it would make things better. Well, I couldn't make anything better, but
And
how it would make things how it would make things worse. How it would further inhabilitate us.
oh, I did hear some people from like the CDC slip, right? Like there was this one news report
They
about this
all
woman.
slip. I got news for you.
They all slipped, but like one of the like I remember this one. I forgot what her title was, but she was part of the CDC, and she was like, "Oh, we get to see how it's affecting disabled people. Great." And she said that with a live mic. I'm like, "Whoa, what do
Yeah,
y'all?"
like we're fucking lab rats.
Like, it wouldn't be the first time. It would
Facts.
not.
I'll give you that one. I'll give
It
you
would
that
not.
one.
It would not be the first time. Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, "Are you serious?" Like it's affecting everybody, and it's affecting
Mhm.
everybody differently. So that's why I
Facts.
was, so that's why I was, I that's why I did like a short series of what essential workers think of during COVID or during Rona or whatever,
Right.
right? I wouldn't get it
Well, I know.
myself until about a year later, you know?
I know when I first met you, which was on Live on the Line, as we talked about at the jump of this thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Brian point blank asked you when because he asked me if I'd done podcast if I'd done hosted a podcast and you were talking to Eric G about his shows and he asked you point blank. He goes, "How often do yours? When will we see new ones of yours?" And you're like, I'm more focused on my clients. I'm not focused on doing mine, but I'm planning on getting back into it. And that was
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened there, I'm also a freelancer, right?
Right.
So I'm
You're
helping,
you're a man of many gifts, my brother. I'll tell you that right now.
no, thanks. You know what it is? It ain't even me. It's the people around me that keep me going. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the positive energy around me that keeps me going. So shout out to my family, shout out to everybody, blood, chosen family, shout out to my girlfriend. It is a like it is a they people, they have no idea what it's like when you have the right people around you, and they're trying to
Because
encourage.
they're not faced with the same preconceptions that we are, Kyle.
It's
I mean,
it's
that's just just let's just keep it 100.
mm,
We are because we have the challenges that we have.
yeah,
We are put in a position
mm,
uh, externally
yeah,
to where people don't expect a whole fuck of a lot. They
they
they,
don't.
they think they've got challenges they can't handle. And perfect example, you and your girl.
Yep.
I don't know her from Eve, but
She's awesome, and I love her to death. I love her to death.
yeah. But what I'm saying, Kyle, is let's just call it for what it is.
Yep.
We are looked at that because we have somebody said having a disability or having something like autism or something like that is not a disability; it's a different ability, which I love. And
I love that.
I look at I love. I think that works with just about every challenge under the sun.
Yep.
But we're not seen that way by and large. Sad but true. When it comes to they can't have a successful relationship. They'll never have. They can't raise. Uh,
They can't raise
they
kids.
could. Well,
They
I was gonna say normal kids, but yeah,
no.
you know, that is my biggest piece. Because one of my we've talked about the fact that I'm a godfather.
Yep.
One of my not none of the ones out west. You know, shout out to my girls, but
Yep.
one of the ones out that lives in just one time zone away does have has recently been diagnosed with autism.
Yep.
He's on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and I I video chat with him maybe every other week.
Yep.
I'll have well, during the school year every other week because he's overly active. You know, kids being what they are. You know, they got to they got to poke their poke themselves in everything. You know, see what fits.
Yep.
Like a bad deal of operation.
Mm.
Bad version of that old board game operation.
Mm.
But but somebody and he's like he's 11, I think,
Yep.
11 or 12.
Yep.
I was video chatting with his mother a couple weeks ago. They
Yep.
were out in the, they were out at some outdoor festival or something.
Yep.
This woman is walking by, doesn't even know that my friend thinks my friend is holding her phone in front of her, because she's not wearing a headset.
Yep.
You know, thinks she's just talking to the phone. Doesn't realize her camera's on. The woman takes one look at my godson and says, "Well, at least we know, we can pretty much guarantee that one will never have kids or a girlfriend." His mother spun around and said, "You know what? Shut up. Just because he's on the spectrum don't mean he can't live a normal life."
Man, please. Man,
And
I
I
know.
I I was in the middle of Walmart and I started clapping like I'm in a concert. And I was so proud of her speaking up for her kid like that.
Of course. Of course. Because
I look like an idiot, but you know, for the sake of my God kid, I don't give a damn.
okay, first off, you're not an idiot. Okay?
No,
You are not an idiot. The ones that are idiots
no.
are the ones that wallow in that freaking bask in their own ignorance.
Kens and Karens, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The ones that do not want, like, they just assume, they don't
Hmm.
ask questions. They go by whatever the heck the media says and whatever, and whatever they
Thank you. I'm glad somebody finally said it.
look, okay. Every time. Okay,
Hmm.
when I was a kid, and I didn't know this until I was older. When
Right.
I was a kid, the doctor said to me, and this is actually the title of my first episode of A for Abled. They told my mom he probably won't walk. Right? They
Hmm.
told my mom and dad that he probably won't walk.
Right.
Right? He probably won't walk. He'll probably need a wheelchair. He'll probably need this. He'll probably be arthritic by the age of 30. He might be this. He might be that.
He might be totally immobile by the time he's a teen. Yeah.
But they didn't say, at least to my knowledge, what I probably could do. You
No,
know?
they focus on the negative just based on sight and based on
Exactly.
perception.
Exactly. I've seen kids smarter than both of us, and they have
Hmm.
preconceived conditions. They have a mental difference. They have a physical
Hmm.
difference, but yet
Mm-hmm.
they can paint like nobody's business, play piano. They got band.
Facts.
They can do all of this. They can do all of this stuff, right?
Right. Right.
And but you won't say anything unless they are like prodigies or something. It's like I had a I'm kind of going all around here, but this is kind of what happens
That's
with
fine,
me.
man. That's
Um,
fine.
so so when I was in elementary school, going into high school,
Mm-hmm.
I went to a
Mm-hmm.
private school, right? For about 3 years of my life, I was in the private school system, right?
Right.
And
Same here. 2 years.
I went from the public school system, which had plenty of people who were like you and I, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I went to the
Right.
private school system and it was very, very little, right? And um, so we had just finished fifth grade. We're the class is going into sixth grade. Our our um, our principal at the time was retiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in. I think she was going around to every class, basically saying her goodbyes and see you later's, and and everything else, because she had been working. She had been working in the system for years, right?
Right.
So, but she
Right.
comes into the class. She comes into my class, and she tells us that not only is she retiring, but next year we're going to have a new student joining our class, and she happens to have Down syndrome, right? She looks at me and says, Kyle, they're going to look at you to basically be her friend. I was 12 at the time, right? I was the only, as far as I remember, as far as I know, I was the only physically challenged person in that class of kids, right?
Right.
So fast forward to sixth grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and everybody, we're all growing up at the same time. We're 13 years old, puberty setting in, everybody's trying to fit in and blah blah blah, right?
Right.
Every project that myself and this young lady were in, they put us together. Every project, right? Every music project, every like I think a couple of scholastic projects were different, but anything else that was physical, they basically put us together, right? Like I had no problem with her, but
Right.
people would make fun, right, all the time, and I wanted them to stop. So one day I bring it
That's
up
my
to
biggest
the
pet peeve, man.
yeah. So I bring it up to the school, and they think I'm just being dramatic,
Of
right?
course.
I bring it up to the
Because
school.
you're a kid. You're a kid. You're expressing yourself. You're over dramatizing the problem.
Exactly. But I
Been
noticed
there,
that
done that. More. I could make a fucking wardrobe of those t-shirts. I'll
yeah,
tell you that right now.
yeah. But I, so I considered her a friend, but also I wanted to stop getting teased. So I started teasing her. And like, that was like, I hated myself for that for years. And then one day I'm going to,
Basically, going along with the get along.
right? So one day I'm
Yeah.
going to the mall, right? One day, this is years later. Years go by. We don't see each other. Years go by. I had already left the school. After sixth grade, I left the school and went back into the public school system, and I
Right.
didn't, and I didn't see her. So one day I'm at the mall, right? And she recognizes me. She's like, Kyle. I'm like, yo, is that you? And I'm like, and she's thriving. She's got a job. She's living on her own. She's living life. She gave me the biggest hug. It was awesome. Everything I was feeling at that time about that time in our lives went away because she was living her life. She didn't care, Down syndrome or not. She didn't care. She was just living. She was just living life, right?
Yeah.
So I don't give
Respect.
a crap what the doctors say. Like you're not going. You're not. Nothing is guaranteed. Okay, we're not even
Fuck no.
guaranteed. We're not even guaranteed to live. We're all guaranteed to die. Okay,
Facts.
we are.
Mm-hmm.
No one is guaranteed. No one is guaranteed life. We are all guaranteed death. Okay, but that doesn't. But that's everybody across the board, regardless of whatever you have or don't have
Or don't
physically,
have it. Right.
whatever. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you live. Nothing. We are all guaranteed to die one day. So I'd rather spend my life spreading positive energy to people and learning about people instead of judging people. Now, don't get me wrong. I have judged people. just like they have judged
Right.
me. I'm only human,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to spend my life doing
That's
that. I
that's that's
know
one that's one unfortunate human frailty.
exactly. That is one huge human flaw is we judge what we do not know. You know, we judge
Or
what
can't
we
or can't comprehend.
or can't comprehend, or if something contradicts what we've been taught, right? Because I question
Hmm.
everything, right? I question
Hmm.
everything because I want to learn from people and I want to deconstruct
Right.
things and I want to have these
Right.
conversations. And sometimes I want to have these conversations that are hard to have. We got to have the ones that are not comfortable. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because
Right. No,
otherwise, how are
absolutely.
we going to grow? You know,
Hmm.
I'm not
No, I hear
saying
you.
force people to live the way you want them to live. I'm saying like, okay, we got to hear each other out, regardless of what side of the fence you're on. We gotta hear each other out. And some, nah, I've heard enough. You know, I will you know I will say that there are some I've heard enough. You do your thing. Hopefully, it's not illegal. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah. You you do you. I'll do me.
Exactly. Exactly. But I
Absolutely.
I love it when, and I know doctors are just doing their job and then that's how and that's how they were trained and everything.
Hmm.
But you cannot just assume. You cannot
No,
just assume. There's a
that's the worst thing you can do.
I just read
Well, one
and
of them.
followed on Instagram a young lady who is a nurse who's in a wheelchair, right? And she didn't, and
Hmm.
they didn't think she would be able to do her thing. She's in a wheelchair. She's helping people. She's thriving. She's doing what she wants to do, which is help other people. I used
Right.
to want to be a doctor until I realized how much schooling that was. I was like, I don't have that. I don't have that in me. I hated school, so
Yeah.
I could,
You're like, I got out of school for a reason.
what I'm saying. I'd rather create than have to deal with more testing and all this, and all this other stuff. I couldn't do it. Plus,
Yeah.
plus I thought
You're more of a creator and collaborator than anything else.
yes, that is it. And I got to give my parents all the credit. I got to give my parents and my village all the credit for that because, um, my mom, and my dad, they're both
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, right? My
Right.
mom, my mom owned a salon for years, been doing hair all her life. My dad was a DJ and a party planner and all that stuff, still is, right? And my mom would always try to get us out from in front of the TV. Like she would tell us like, if you're bored, go use your imagination. Me and my sister, right?
Hmm.
So that strengthened my wanting to create. Like every time I wanted to do something creative, like I wanted to draw. So my parents bought me a drawing desk and and colored pencils. I wanted to start
Right.
journaling. I watched Doug
Isn't
on
that freeing though? Seriously, journaling. That is
journaling.
that is. It's very liberating.
It is very liberating. Now I got to get back into it. I used to do it all the time, and then
Hmm.
one day
Oh, I
my
quit for years. I'm just now getting back into it.
I gotta get yeah, I gotta get no, I gotta get back into it for I gotta get back into it for real. It's very therapeutic, you know,
Hmm.
and you never know. And I used to write short stories and stuff too. And
Same.
I just wanted to do something creative. Whether I made a career out of it was one thing, right? But I just wanted to
Right.
do something creative. Even till this day, I don't even care if I make nothing podcasting. My thing is, I just want to create. I have this urge to create and learn. So I gotta see it. I gotta see it through. You know?
You know, that reminds me. I think you've seen the episode, the one-on-one that I did with Eric G, where he was interviewing me, which Wednesday will be kind of the flip the script kind of a deal
Yep.
for that. But he asked me point blank. He said once you want what makes you want to do this? What makes you want to be a part of this?
Community.
Let's just call it for what it is, lifestyle.
Mm,
Of get of whether you're a guest or host. And I just said it. I said it's the ability to collab. It's the ability. It's the interaction. Uh, there's no criticism there. Well, I mean, there may be
There
criticism
is.
that we don't see. Yeah, there
Yeah.
may be that we don't see, or the people don't say. But there's not a lot. There's not the kind of judgment you see when you just speak your mind. You know, like if you put a editorial in a newspaper, people are gonna you run the risk of people doing what they doing what a lot of people do best, which is piss and bitch.
Yep.
But but the cool thing I've noticed about podcasting, especially with our crew, is that is almost eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, if somebody does have a difference of opinion, they speak it. They don't try to throw it in anybody's face like you see so often in offline social circles
Yeah.
or social scenarios. Everybody,
Yep.
if somebody sees something different, they in the offline world, they start shit or they try to start shit.
Yeah. I'm
I,
not.
I
I'm
have
not big
I
on.
have yet to see. I've seen that. I've seen that in this um, genre maybe twice.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't normally do this, but I'm just gonna put Homeboy on blast. There was a guy. I did an episode of another podcast, and I'm not going to say which one for out of respect for the MC.
Okay.
And the other host started some drama afterwards online involving some of our friends, and
Mm.
it just boiled over into so much bullshit in the manner of a day and a half, to the point everybody that was impacted by it basically told him, basically go, f rocks, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
I'm not going to say the word obviously, but I could, but I'm not going to for sake of self preservation.
I gotcha.
But he was like basically go kick rocks for all intents and purposes because he was just trying to. He's like, oh, you guys shouldn't follow this person because of what they said on this show. Horseshit.
Mm.
Don't you can't if you have a problem with them, deal with it yourself behind the scenes. Do not go putting people on blast just for their perspective. That leads nowhere.
Exactly.
Well, nowhere good anyway.
Yep. Yep. I hear you. Yeah.
But yeah,
I ain't got no time for. I ain't got no time for no drama. No.
no, it's unnecessary. It really is. That's one of
It's
the
a
reasons
waste.
I stay out
It's a
of
waste of time.
politics.
It's a wait. It's a waste of. It's a waste of time and energy. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
y'all
I
can't
mean,
figure out a way to get along, stay away
I was
from it.
involved in I was involved in city politics a few years ago to get the mayor of the city that I moved from here from elected. But beyond that, I steer clear. I steer clear of politics. I steer clear of political roundtables just because all that is people that are what I call ABD, all about drama.
I'd say in the past few years is the most I've actually cared about politics, but I'd rather stick to okay, how is this helping the people? Not
It's
how is this
not.
help how is this helping the people? Not how is this helping the person standing on the podium? And it could be anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
It could be anybody. Like I'd rather, I'd rather like let's talk about it whether we disagree or whether we agree. I'd rather find a happy medium. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's
But the problem you run into, Kyle, and I'm not disputing anything you're saying. I'm with you
yeah,
100% as always.
yeah,
But I will say this to you: the problem that we run when we say let the shit fly basically
yeah,
is it becomes all about propaganda. It becomes all about uh, you know there are too many of them out there, and we've seen it lately with old.
Mm-hmm.
Weird old Mr. Pumpkinhead, and you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the stuff he's pulled just in the last few months, um, where it's just like accept how I want things, or or suffer the consequences, or be shunned, be treated like a pariah.
You know, it's at when it comes to that, like I will just laugh and I will just laugh. I'll get frustrated with with some of my friends because I got friends on both sides of the political spectrum,
Hmm.
and like it's it is for me as of right now, it is what it is. I will tell you my opinion, you tell me your opinion. We'll argue about it, yada yada yada. As long as we're still friends at the end, that's all I care about.
Right.
You know,
And I'll give you
that's all.
I'll give you a perfect example. When
Yep.
Trump changed the name of that base back to Polk Base, the Air Force Base,
Mm-hmm.
the governor of New York turns around, renames a street and a park in upstate New York for the gentleman that Trump didn't like the base being named after. And I was like, you know what? More power to you. I
I
thought it took guts because I think he's too focused on trying to make things basically 200 years in the past, and that's we don't need that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, when I hear that, I just cringe for a number of reasons. So I am trying my best not to completely I'm trying not to let it disturb my own personal peace because I've seen it.
Right.
I've seen these past few years rip families apart. Okay.
Hmm.
So it is, or have them splintered, right?
Right.
And it kills me because I have never seen that before. You know what I'm saying? I have never seen that before.
It's enough to make you sick, no question about it.
It's serious. It seriously is. I have never seen that before, just based off of it. And the thing is, like the president is powerful, but the president doesn't have the power for everything, and that's the thing that people don't get. It's like, oh, I voted for him because gas prices are lower. Guess what? He ain't got nothing to do with gas prices. He ain't got nothing to do with gas prices. They were
No,
blaming
they
Joe.
give him credit for stuff he's not even connected with, and that just really
They like
ticks me off.
you have no. It has nothing to do with who is sitting in the seats in Washington. Okay, it has nothing to
Facts.
do about that. So it's very
Facts.
much a like so. But I always say this, regardless if it's a adult political race or a political or a like little political race in like say schools or whatever. It's a popularity
Right.
contest at the end of the day. it, it
Right.
it's it's a popularity contest at the end of the day, and people are going to make themselves look as good as they think they are, and it's like look this ultimately it,
It's all about putting up a persona, though.
you're putting up a
That's the
persona,
thing that
but
pisses me off.
I look at it like a job. After a while, I was like, all the stuff, all the hoops you got to go through just to get a just to get a job to feed yourself, right?
Hmm.
Like okay, like I've just like a lot of us, I have applied for a lot of jobs in my day, right?
Right.
Didn't get every single one of them, obviously. And the ones that I did get, not all of them worked out. I've had jobs actually shut down on me. Had nothing to do with
Oh.
me, but they just couldn't afford to stay open. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I've had jobs where I didn't get it when they're like, oh, we met someone else that better fit our qualifications. Okay, Target, what the heck are your qualifications? Okay. Oh, okay. GameStop. What the heck are your qualifications? I, the only time somebody gave me what their actual qualifications were, it was 2014. No, wait. No. It was a little earlier than that. It was a little earlier than that. Anyway, so I'm trying to get a job at Hot Topic, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to get a job at Hot Topic. They reject me, right? And this was Gothic Hot Topic, right?
Oh, yeah.
If I was trying to get a hot, if
Now
I was
known
trying
as
to
Spencer's.
listen, if I was trying to get a job at Hot Topic just a few years ago, I probably would have got the job. Okay.
Right.
I probably would have got the job. But during the Gothic Hot Topic days when the sign looked like blood, I wasn't gonna get the job because and the boss interviewed me. The hiring manager interviewed me. I remember he had like a coif hair. He had the coif hair. He had gauges in his ears. You know, he was wearing all black, right? And he says, "Well, you don't have any tattoos."
Oh, good God.
That was the
Like that matters.
qualification. That was the qualification. I didn't have any tattoos.
Oh, you gotta be.
I had customer service experience, right? I had customer service experience because
Yeah.
because I had worked at grocery stores, I had worked in a movie theater, I had worked in my mom's salon. I have had years
Right.
upon years of customer service experience. I know how to work with the people. And if you give me some product knowledge, I know how to sell stuff to you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
all I need to know is what I'm selling. That's all I need to know, right?
Right.
But he told me because I didn't have any tattoos at the time. I now have two tattoos. But at the time
Better you than me, Bubba.
I didn't have any tattoos, so I didn't get the job. At least he told me straight up. Okay, at least he told me straight up. I have gone through job fair after job fair, nothing. I even had a job where I even had a interview where I was trying to work for a home, right? And they were helping disabled people and and drug addicts and stuff, and stuff like that. I was basically
Right.
applying to be like part of the janitorial crew, right? And this was a non-profit, right? This was a non-profit place, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
had to go through two stages in the interview. I got uh I had to talk to the bosses, and then I had to talk to the people that actually worked and lived there, right? So, because they
Mm-hmm.
had to vet me, they had to make sure that I was on the up and up, and I'm like, okay, I understand that. So we go through a round table interview,
Yeah. They
round
gotta
table
say. They gotta save their own ass.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we go through a round, so we go through a round table of interview, round table questions, and they start asking me, did somebody feed you these answers? Because I guess I was answering them too well. I basically said, look, everybody's different. Everybody's got something that makes them different, unique. Everybody's got something. And they liked how I was answering the question because I was being genuine. They were about to hire me.
Right.
Their funding gets cut.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was out of their control. It was out of my control. Their funding got cut. I think
Oh, that sucks.
the most ridiculous reason I didn't get a job, besides the no tattoo thing, um,
Yeah.
was apparently I was too enthusiastic about the job.
I didn't know
That
that even was possible with most employment.
man, listen, I tried to get a job at a recycling center that recycled technology. I'm a geek. That is my stuff. Computer parts, all that stuff, old technology, VCRs, all that stuff,
That's your
TV.
home zone. Yeah.
That is my home zone. I may not know everything about it, but I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love it. And like I said, I have years of customer service under my belt, so I thought maybe that would help. I remember going to a group interview, and then the group interviews they split us all off into 10-minute interviews, right? And they asked me, so what can I bring to the table? I said I had customer service experience. That's not exactly
Right.
what they do because a lot of it is just done in house. They're not talking to people. They're just taking people's stuff and recycling it for new stuff. You know,
Right.
you know. But then I get a call from the person that was trying to help me get the job. I was going through what they would call a work interview. They were trying to get me a work interview, and they said, "Well, they say you were too enthusiastic about the job." I'm like, "What do you mean too enthusiastic? The heck's that even mean? Just tell me. Just tell me. Just give me a reason why I didn't get the job."
Right.
Just but too enthusiastic. The heck's that even mean? But that's but but it's fine. I ended up finding something that was better suited for me anyway. So,
Yeah.
But still, yeah,
Right.
it's yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. It never ceases to amaze me the I'll just call it just keep it 100. The excuses people make just to turn people down for that are qualified, even if in some cases they're overqualified.
Yeah,
You know,
underqualified, overqualified. Guess what? Now we live in an economy where you got to pay $2,000 just to afford a 1 bedroom apartment. Underqualified or
dude,
overqualified.
I'm about to start paying 1,300 for a studio. Now, where this apartment that I'm in now, my rent goes up to 13.15 the first of August.
That doesn't make any sense.
But here's the thing. Here's the upside. Everything's included. The only thing
Okay.
I got to pay for out of pocket is the laundry room downstairs. You got to pay for that by through an app, but that's like $20 a month. That's a bargain.
Yeah, but 1,300.
Not bad though. I mean, when you figure, where I was living, it was like 900 and something, and on top of that, I had to pay trash, I had to pay electrical, I had to pay National Grid, which honestly was like dealing with Satan incarnate. But,
If you're gonna pay 1,300, you might as well throw another bedroom in there. Shoot, you know.
it's just me. I'm for the most part a minimalist for all intents and purposes. But
Yeah.
listen, Connor, we're gonna have to wrap this up. But before we do, let
Yep.
people know where they can find you and your and A for Able and your company and all that.
A for Able, you can find it on YouTube at the A for Able the A for Able podcast. You can also find me on Spotify as well as other podcast platforms at A for Abled. I try to upload at least twice a month. Yep, try to upload it at least twice a month. And if you want to join me for a chat, you can contact me on Instagram at KyleEric 3233.
Yeah, and on Facebook, where can they find you if they want to holler at you?
Kyle Barboza.
Yep,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know until like a year ago.
Yeah.
But but listen, Kyle, this has been awesome. I can't believe we've gone for almost an hour and a half. This is nuts.
Mm,
But to kind of let everybody know, basically what's going on is I'm doing one-on-ones with all my podcasts, as many of my podcasting buddies as I can over the next week or so, and then I'm going to start doing some panels, and so these one-on-ones are kind of, I like calling my flip the script series, because I've been
yep.
I've been on so many podcasts, and um, now I get to kind of flip the script, introduce you all to the folks I've been lucky enough to collab with, and do shows with. Kyle and I, like I said, we've been doing shows together for almost 2 years now.
Mm.
Um, and man, it's been awesome, dude. You never cease to just blow my mind, brother. I'll tell you that right now.
Aw.
But we're gonna we're gonna wrap this up. As
Yep.
I said, a little bit of breaking news earlier in the show. The next one was supposed to be Casey Lee, coming up here later this week. But now I'm going to be doing one with Eric G on Wednesday, so keep your eyes open for that. And
Mm-hmm.
for now, thanks for tuning in, Kyle. Thanks for coming on, and we'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having me.
all next time.